Hey everybody, we're back with another Acceptable Casualties battle report. Today we're going to be doing 1,500 points on the Eastern Front for our redemption campaign. It's going to be 8th Independent Penal Battalion taking on Sturmkompanie. We'll be back in a second with the lists and deployment. So here we have our 1,500 points of 8th Independent Penal Battalion. Down here we have the 1IC, 2IC Battalion Commissar. Above them we have two of the penal companies. They're both going to have 21 rifle bases or SMG bases each. Then attached to them they have 3 sappers in this one, 2 flamethrowers, 2 anti-tank rifles. Over here it's 2 sappers, 2 flamers, 2 anti-tank rifles, and then each one of them has a commissar attached. Down here we have our medium mortars with observer, commissar, and a command team, and above them we have some 31 BM Katyushas with observer and double crews. Altogether it's about, I think, 1470 is what it came in at. So we'll be back in a second to go over the Sturmkompanie list. So here we have, what has it been, 1,300 points of Sturmkompanie?
Yep,
1,300 points, and Vin also has 200 points of minefields added into the list. Just if you guys are wondering if this looked a little light right now. So down here, Vin has his 1IC and 2IC. Above them, there's 2 platoons of Sturmkompanie. Above them is a platoon of Sturm Pioneers with the truck. Down here, Vin has a platoon of Nebelwerfers. He has a small platoon of Pack 40s, and above him in support, he has a Tiger. Well, I guess just a regular Tiger platoon. These are one platoon, right? Not 2 separate ones.
Yeah, one platoon.
One platoon. One has motivation of a 2-up, and the other one has rate of fire 3. They are what? Confident veteran, right?
Yeah, all across the board.
All across the board. So this is what we're looking at here for Sturmkompanie. And like I said, there's also 200 points of minefield, and we'll go over all that stuff in deployments. We'll be back in a flash. Okay, everybody, we are back for deployment. Just a few quick notes before we start this mission. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the Penal Battalion out of Red Bear for the Soviets, they are unable to dig in. They have to keep moving forward. They don't benefit from prepared positions or anything like that for their games. They're always attacking, and they motivate on a 2-up. And then they have the commissar that gives them the reroll with the 2-up. And on top of that, it's impossible for them to fail company morale tests. They have to be pretty much killed to a man on the tabletop. They can still fail platoon morale, but not company morale. Alright, so like I said, this is kind of a themed game right here, so we'll go over the objectives first, and I'll kind of explain what's happening. So there's going to be an objective here on the crossroad, and then there's a second objective back here behind this farmhouse over here. The premise for this mission is the Penal Battalion's coming in to press this crossroad here to test the defenses and see if they can take it, and obviously if they can't, then what the Penal Battalion usually did was they would run through and clear minefields and then make way for the T-34s that would come up from behind, or the Pioneers, or just the regular Strakovi to make life a little bit easier when they did the assaults. So for the premise for this mission is you're going to have one of the Penal Battalion companies right here will be pressing across the river and making a push on the front side of the village over there, while another one is lined up in the woods over here, and they'll be pushing through these fields to get to the town. So you guys are originally going to look at this and be like, this is going to be an absolute cakewalk. But what's happening here is all of the fields for on this flank over here are considered they're going to be large minefields. So every time that anybody moves in or out of them, it's going to be, skill tests to see if they get blown up, and saves and pinning and all the fun stuff that goes with going through minefields. And like I said, they're going to be supported back here by mortars and Katyushas. So what's going to happen is going to be Vin's going to have his Sturmkompanie here, one of his Sturm platoons here, his Nebelwerfers in the back. He has another Sturm platoon that's in these houses over here, creating a defensive position around the village. He'll have delayed reserves. The Pioneers will be coming in, and the Pack 40s and the Tigers. The vehicles will be able to come in on this roadway or that roadway. Will roll for it randomly, and the Packs and the Pioneers are going to be able to come in on Vin's deployment zone, which was that house going back over there and this house back over there. So they'll be able to come in like that little table edge there as support starting turn 3 with delayed reserves. I have everybody on the table. So all it's going to be is just have to take one objective, and that'll be enough for the Penal Battalion to kind of break the German line and punch a hole through. So yeah, we'll be back in a second for top of turn 1 for the Penal Battalion, and we'll see if we can actually make this thing happen, or if it's going to be a red harvest through those minefields over there. So we'll be back in a flash. So we are back for the top of turn 1 for the Soviets. In this turn, not a lot, just mostly just running. So these guys, I ended up pushing them across the river. Obviously, I can't go with the double because half the platoon's it's stuck in the river. So they ended up just pushing up to this point over here. Down here, I ran out with all these guys in the woods. 3 of them ended up starting off through the minefields over there, and I ended up passing 2 skill tests, failing 1, but I ended up passing his infantry save. So they're looking pretty good right now. In the shooting phase, all these guys has SMGs for the infantry, so nobody can shoot within range. I ended up failing to range in with my mortars down here, but my Katyusha, I was able to range in there. I pinned the unit and I killed 1 infantry base that was over there with the Katyusha. So we'll be back in a second for bottom of turn 1 for the Germans. So we are back for the bottom of turn 1 for the Germans. Not a ton going on here, but what did happen went pretty well. So first, Vin, he didn't move with anybody. He was able to unpin these guys here. His firing, he started off in the shooting phase. He dropped the Nebelwerfer template back down there. He was able to kill 1 of the anti-tank rifles. He pinned the observer, and he pinned this unit with that. Then with these guys here, he had 6 guys with machine guns that opened up 18 shots. He got 13 hits. He ended up killing 4 of the teams in this platoon over here. So that's what we're looking at right now for the bottom of turn 1 for the Germans. We'll be back in a second for top of turn 2 for the Soviets. So we are back for the top of turn 2. On this turn, just a little bit more movement. So we pushed these guys up across the river, and now everybody's out making their way into those fields right there. Back over here, we were able to unpin, and we pushed everybody into the minefields. I had some awesome dice this turn. I think I only lost, what, 4 guys?
4, yeah.
Yeah. So as the penal company ran through the minefields over here, I mean, there was a couple that went off. I remember I had like 10 or 12 saves to make, and I ended up failing 4 of them. So yeah, there's a bunch of dead bodies all over the place over here, getting a little bit closer to this line. In the shooting phase, really not too much happening. My mortars were able to drop a template down here and range in. I was able to actually kill 1 of the guys on that side. Vin ended up failing to save. I got a 6 to dig him out. And my Katyushas, I tried to take out this 1 Nebelwerfer back over here, but I couldn't range in on them, so that was the end of that. So that's all that happened here for the top of turn 2. Making our way through that field over here, and the second wave over here is slowly starting to push up. So hopefully we can get some action going here in the next turn or 2. So we'll be back in a second for bottom turn 2 for the Germans. So we are back for bottom of turn 2. Defensive fire starting to open up. So everybody along that fence line over there have been fired a bunch of shots down here. I think it was like 21 shots. He had 14 or 15 hits. I ended up losing 4 guys from this part of the platoon over here. These guys over here were able to unpin. They ended up opening up. They killed a couple guys, and then Nebelwerfers dropped a bombardment over there. The unit was already pinned, but yeah, I think I lost another 4 or 5 guys to this platoon. So these guys are they're getting chopped up going through the minefield and eating machine gun fire and Nebelwerfer fire. But we'll see what happens here. We'll be back in a second for top of turn 3 for the Soviets, and then hopefully we can start maybe getting into some assault, or at least getting close enough to do some damage. So we'll be back in a flash. We're back for top of turn 3. The curse of the Penal Battalion continues. So this was unbelievable. So all I need is a 2-up motivation to unpin both of these platoons. If I fail that, another 2-up commissar roll, and I end up breaking these guys. So let's start down here. I ended up rolling a 1 and then another 1. So I failed the first commissar roll. I mean, failed the first motivation roll. The second one, I rolled a 1 as well. So that means the commissar gets killed, and then one of the guys that he shoots gets killed. So I lost 2 bases for nothing there. Then I came over here to unpin these guys. I rolled a 1, then I rolled another 1 for my command team, which is up over here. He rolled a 1, and then for my other commissar, I rolled a 1, and I ended up getting him killed, and another one of my SMG teams. So 5 1s in a row for motivation on units that needed 2-up. That was pretty bad. I'm probably going to pay for it this turn. So over here, the Katyushas and the mortars were able to pin these guys down. We got a couple hits, but we weren't able to do any casualties over here. And both of these units, like I said, they're pinned, but now they're concealed, gone on the ground because they didn't shoot and didn't move. So we'll be back in a second for bottom of turn 3 for the Germans. Vin has one chance to get some reserves in, so we'll see how that works out. Hopefully it's a failure so we can get a little bit closer before we get shredded. So we'll be back in a second for bottom turn 3 for the Germans. So we are back for the bottom of turn 3, if you're wondering, on the other side of the table, so don't get crossed up over here. So for this turn, Vin was able to unpin these guys over here. Nobody moved in the shooting phase. Between the machine gun fire and the Nebelwerfers here, Vin was able to peel off another 4 bases, I think. Right, yeah, 4 bases from this platoon. So these guys they're hurting right now. And then back over here, Vin fired like 21 shots into there, and it was enough to kill 2 more of the stands over there. So that's pretty much what we're looking at. Vin failed his reserve roll, so we'll have 2 dice next turn. Probably got to get these guys unpinned and start doing something fantastic here. It's going to get ugly. So we'll be back in a second for top of turn 4 for the Soviets. I think it's time to party. So we'll be back in a second for top of turn 4. So we are back for the top of turn 4. Had to do some things, and that's pretty much how it went. So over here we were able to unpin. Over here we were able to unpin. For shooting, we tried to drop a bombardment back there with the Katyushas on the Nebelwerfers, failed once again. Up here we were able to pin with the mortars, but we weren't able to peel anybody off this turn. Then we ended up pushing up what was left in this platoon here. We fired 8 flamethrower dice into here. We were only able to kill 1 base out of 8, so that was really terrible. And then with SMG fire, we weren't able to. We had 6 hits, but Vin made all of his saves. And then on the assault, Vin got, what, 5 or 6 hits?
6.
6 hits. I ended up failing 4 out of the 6 saves, so I lost 4 rifle teams. So yeah, this strafe battalion is playing true to history and just getting massacred over here. So things are looking too good on this side. Down over here, these guys are kind of just setting up right now. That platoon is pinned, so we'll see. Hopefully they stay pinned, and it'll make my job a little bit easier. So we'll be back in a second for bottom of turn 4, see if reserves come in for Vin and what happens on the eastern flank. So we'll be back in a flash. So we are back for bottom of turn 4 for the Germans. Pretty good turn here for Vin. For reserves, he was able to get on the machine gun pioneer team with the truck coming off that back table edge over there to support this line over here. He was able to unpin this unit over here, unpin those guys as well. Excuse me. In the shooting phase between the Nebelwerfers and the front line of machine gun fire here, Vin went into these guys. I think he killed, what, 2 or 3 bases?
Yeah, it was
2 or 3 bases, but they did pin the unit. And did a little bit of damage over there. Over here, Vin fired in. He got 10 hits on this platoon here. It was only enough to kill the anti-tank rifle. I ended up making the rest of my saves, but these guys are also pinned on this side. So we're going into the top of turn 5 now. I'm going to have to make a splash here and do something big. So we'll be back in a second for top of turn 5 for the Penal Battalion. They're giving their lives like they're supposed to. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it's for a very good cause at this point. So we'll be back in a second for top turn 5 for the Soviets. So we are back for top of turn 5, right? And then in this turn, I think went pretty decent for us. Not too bad. So in the movement phase, we were able to unpin these guys. We failed to unpin these guys, though. Once again, they're just destined to be horrible this game. All right, so in the shooting phase, we took the Katyusha that was over there. We ended up ranging in down over here. We had a line of sight with our observer in that corner over there on the Pioneer team that was here. So we dropped the template. We were able to pin them, and we killed 2 of them, right, Vin?
Yep.
Yeah, we were able to kill 2 of them and pin the Pioneers back over there. With our mortars, we dropped them on this house here that has the command team in it. We were able to pin them as well. With our 4 shots that we had from our SMG and rifle teams that were here, we were actually able to kill one of the guys on the road. So they're pinned, we're pinned. Both of these, Vin passed his motivation. Both of these platoons are really hurting on this flank. Over here with these guys, I was able to push up to the fence with the flamethrower. I got 3 kills on the Sturmkompanie guys along this fence line. I had a boatload of SMG fire, but I don't think I got any casualties from that one. I had like 18 shots, and I think I only rolled like 3 hits. It was really bad. But in assaults, I was able to move in, and I pretty much decimated that Sturmkompanie that was along that fence line right there. There's only 2 of them left. and they're pinned as well. I didn't lose anybody in close combat. Vin just elected to push everybody back. The Pioneers, they fell back as well, just to kind of get a better position for maybe next turn to unpin. So Vin has 3 platoons that are pinned right here, but he does have some reserve dice, so things could get pretty good for Vin right now. So we'll be back in a second for bottom of turn 5 for the Germans. We are back for bottom of turn 5. This turn, Vin was able to get the Tigers in and the Pack 40s that are over there, as you guys can see down here. For unpinning, Vin was able to unpin these guys, unpin this platoon, but the Pioneers failed to get unpinned, but they are dug in. For movement, he moved the Tigers up to there. Out of deployment, he moved the Pack 40s over along that side over there. In shooting, between the Tigers, the machine guns here, Pioneers, the Nebelwerfer, Vin was able to peel off, I think it was like 4 bases, maybe 5 bases, somewhere in there. It was like 4 or 5 bases, and pin this unit over here. On this side, between the machine gun fire from the guys that are left in this house, that house, over there, the 2 Pack 40s and the rifle command team, Vin was able to kill 2 guys, right?
Yeah.
2 or 3 from this platoon. So I'm only down to 2 here with no commander either. So these guys are kind of just screwed at this point right now. So that's what we're looking at here for bottom of turn 5. I'm going to do something special here in a second if I'm going to hold on. So I'll be back in a flash for top of turn 6 for the Soviets. So we are back for the top of turn 6. Things went pretty good here. I mean, we're not looking too hot, but they went as good as they could go. So we were able to unpin all the units that were left over here. Then in the shooting phase, we were able to push up, we'll start down here, with our flamethrower. We ended up smoking the Pioneers. We also shot up their supply wagon with some SMG fire, and then Vin ended up failing their motivation. And then over here with the Katyushas, what did we drop on the oh yeah, the Katyushas we dropped on these guys over here. We failed to range in, so we weren't able to do anything. The mortars, we were able to actually pluck out one of the Pack 40s over there and pin them. We had 2 guys left over here. Didn't have a commander, but I was within 4 inches for assault range right here, so I didn't move him in the movement phase. We just played it as, you know, he'd be able to assault because I'm within the 4 inches. So we ended up doing that. I was able to assault, kill 1 rifle team. I lost the sapper back there in defensive fire. And then in here, Vin failed his motivation to counterattack, so the platoon fell back. So that's the one I see. There's 2 guys that are in the house over there, but they're pinned. So this whole flank is pinned over here. Back over here in assaults, I assaulted the Pioneer position, and then I was able to get into the Nebelwerfers, and they ended up just getting captured. So I ended up falling back to here afterwards. There's 1 Nebelwerfer left and a commander left, so they're still at above 50%. But I hold this objective, so Vin's going to have to do something special here to make a push and get back in there. So we'll be back in a second for the bottom of turn 6. I think everybody's on the table right now, so it's looking, it's a bloodbath, man. So we'll be back for bottom turn 6 for the Germans. So we are back for the bottom of turn 6, and the Soviets, they were able to barely hold on that front. So over here, Vin was able to unpin these guys. This platoon stayed pinned here. This unit here wasn't pinned. Nebelwerfers, they were able to unpin?
Yeah, they unpinned.
They unpinned, okay. All right, so for shooting phase, there was 2 guys here, their machine gun fire, the machine gun fire from there. They were able to take out 2 bases here. The Nebelwerfers actually failed to hit anybody with their bombardment. Down over here, 1 shot went into this house. Nothing happened. The Pack 40 started to push up. I don't know what they were planning on doing there. I think maybe they're going to hang out in the minefields. So what ended up happening for assaults, Vim pushed up his Tigers into assault with the Sturmkompanie. They all got looped in. So they were able to kill a sapper and 2 rifle bases?
Yeah.
Right? And 2 rifle bases. I was able, obviously, to motivate with the 2 up to get back in there. I was able to kill one of these guys. They ended up failing motivation. They fell back, but the Tigers ended up staying in it. Next round of combat, I opted to just fall back because I had nothing that can hit the Tigers. Vin consolidated. What ended up happening was it'll be the top of turn 7, and I was able to hold this objective and keep Vin with more than 4 inches out of it. So it's going to end up surprisingly being a Penal Battalion victory. But I mean, I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 eight out of like over, I think close to 60 guys left. So we'll be back in a second for end of game recap to kind of go over how the game went and then what we're going to do leading into the final game for the campaign. So we'll be back in a flash. So we are back here with the end of game recap. This one went back and forth. I know, like off camera, me and Vin were talking. I thought after I failed those double motivations to unpin, it was going to be lights out. After that, things kind of worked out pretty well. I had some really good dice. We were just talking about, like my dice in the second half of the game were twice as good as what they were in the first half of the game. That's what kind of saved me and kept me in it. Yeah, it was really good. So, like, I guess we'll start over what I was thinking for the battle plan. Like, I really isn't much thinking when you're playing Penal Battalion. The way the mission was set up, obviously, I set it up so I had to go through the minefields that were going to be over here and start in the wooded areas here. I elected to just go down here and do it this way and push through over there. And I thought I was going to take some casualties. I took way more casualties than I was expecting between the Nebelwerfer's machine gun fire, death in the minefields, the guys staying pinned for that turn. Like this flank was bad news. Like I only had one guy left. I mean, that was sitting in the house here. So I mean, like that strafe company over there, that strafe back company was just, I mean, they redeemed themselves on some level, even though like we're gonna be picking pieces of them out of the lettuce and the potato patches for the next couple months. Back on this side over here,
and your character survived.
Yeah, he did survive. Yeah, that's what I was gonna get to that. Yeah, like my guys. Yeah, Lieutenant Joseph survived again. So yeah, once again, leading from the front with the first company, pushing up over here. I knew we were gonna get shredded with machine gun fire, and I was thinking these guys were probably going to eat Nebelwerfers more, but Vin opted to go with the other flank, which kind of helped out a little bit. Once I got into the fence line over here and was able to get my flamethrowers out, the flamethrowers on this side were much more effective, and like I said, they were able to really whittle down the first Sturm platoon that was along that fence line, and the second flamethrower was really able to do a lot of damage on those pioneers, and they both did really, really well on this flank, and that made a huge difference as far as getting my assaults off and being able to hang in the fight a little bit longer on this side. The Katyushas and the mortars, they did pretty good. They actually peeled off a couple bases. They didn't do like a ton of...
Yeah, they were harassing.
Yeah, they didn't do a ton of damage, but they harassed through the whole game. I mean, I think they might have killed like, 4 or 5 bases the whole time, but they had at least one unit pinned every turn, which was huge. I mean, it was really good. It helped get these guys up the table a little bit easier, not much easier. But like I said, it worked out. It was a fun narrative game. I think for Vin, the worst part was they were hanging in. The Germans were hanging in there, making their motivation test, just until that last turn of the game, and everything just started folding and breaking on this flank over here between that platoon having to fall back out of that close combat, the Pioneers breaking, the Nebelwerfers getting overrun. It all happened in that one turn there, which is the only way that you really can win with the strafe company, and it kind of all just fell into place. But I don't know, Vin, what were you thinking as far as your defense and how the game played out for you?
So going to like my main idea, which I was going to tell you earlier. So you mentioned like you were expecting Nebelwerfers to bombard the riverside.
On this side over here.
My idea, which I mean it worked great. So just to be clear for everybody watching, like I was hitting probably like 60 or 70% of all my shots.
Yeah, your dice were. Yeah, Vin's dice were actually surprisingly hot this game. Which, if you guys watch our battle reports, you know that just never happens. So,
the bad luck streak continues. And Joe's dice for the saves were absolutely phenomenal because your guys should have been.
Oh yeah, I only lost like 4 or 5 guys to the minefields.
Yeah, 4 to 5. Then yeah. I was hitting. I had 16 shots every single turn, and I was hitting 10 plus every time, and peeling off 1 base. That's how good Joe's defensive dice were. Your motivation dice were
terrible. That's what it was. It was after I got to like that 50% casualty on that side. That's when the guy started really peeling off. But like initially, I was able to hang in there pretty well with dealing with the minefields and those first 2 volleys of fire.
So my plan was, which I mean, it was working because everything was hitting. The Nebelwerfers were hitting everything. I was going to whittle him down enough to the point where I can take the heavier half of the platoon over here and swing them over.
Oh, go up the road.
Go up the road to kind of put you in a bit of a box.
Yeah, you had a pincer. Yeah, it would have been bad.
So, but unfortunately, your dice were just gold.
Just enough to hang in.
Just
enough to hang in.
Because I was just going to push them all back. The Tigers, can't complain that I wanted them to come over here, but I mean, they still did more than enough even coming on that side.
Well, I think if they would have came in off
healed a
this
lot.
roadside, they would have walked in the two sappers. Not that that's going to be a deal breaker, but I mean, it could have
been
done
scary.
it. Yeah, at least from over there. I mean, you wanted them with machine guns, and they were able to get 2 rounds off, and they did some damage with the machine gun fire. They just couldn't get close enough with the assaults from being down that middle road and get over here and contest. Like I said, the Pioneers breaking off and these guys failing to support in that assault. Like, you could have gotten in the contest with the Sturm platoon if they would have just not, if you would have not rolled that 1 for their motivation.
Oh, and there was also what was it? One major moment which I think was like when it happened, I was just like, "This is the greatest moment ever!" And then Joe's defensive dice showed up, and I was like, "Ugh, that could."
Which one? Huh?
So you had all your guys along the fence, and I had that one template.
Oh yeah.
I think I had like 10 guys.
You had 10 hits.
And I had like I think like 9 or 10 of them.
Yeah, I think I only lost like 1 guy.
You lost one guy?
Yeah, I lost 1 guy.
So
That was and that's what opened up that next assault.
I was like, oh, that would have been so beautiful.
Yeah, so I hope you guys like the little narrative thing that we're doing with these guys. I know we're gonna have one more game set up. The last game is going to be the Penal Battalion once again assaulting a fortified bunker complex. If, like I said, if I'm down to 8 infantry bases now, I'm expecting to not have anything in that next one. Yeah, the next one's going to be definitely skewed toward the Germans. We'll have like another narrative feel to it. The lists won't be straight out of the book for that one. Vin's probably going to have either SS or Sturmkompanie or some kind of defensive list in there.
You ask them what they want to see. Do they want to see SS or Sturm?
Oh yeah, I guess yeah. If you guys want to leave comments, and you guys can kind of pick what you want. We're not going to do it for another like maybe like 2 or 3 weeks, but yeah. So that last one's going to be it'll be like a bunker complex with barbed wire, minefields, machine gun nests, gun emplacements, a whole bunch of infantry troops, and it'll probably be about 1,500 points for Vin, with maybe another like 300 to 500 points for fortifications. And then the Penal Battalion, it'll be the core Penal Battalion list, and then it'll be supported with some armor and maybe some other things to kind of get them up to maybe like that 1750 range, because it's going to be a meat grinder. So I want to make it at least interesting, but it's definitely going to be skewed into the Germans' favor for that game. So yeah, I'll be back in a couple weeks to do that one. Leave some comments down there. Let us know what you guys think. If you want to see some more games like this, or kind of get back to just doing regular pickup games with other lists. So yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that jazz, and we'll catch you guys later.